The God of Israel was invisible. The God of Israel was spirit. The true and living God is spirit. He doesn't have a body or material parts. And so the nations who worshiped idols, and the psalmist goes on to mock their idols that have hands but can't act, and ears that can't hear, and mouths that can't speak, and eyes that can't see. I mean, the psalmist was not intimidated by this mocking, but he does ask, Lord, why do you let them go on mocking? Act. Show yourself in behalf of your people. That's his argument. Why should they go on asking, where is our God? Show them our God. Act. Bless your people. Be our help. Be our guide. Be our protector. I prayed that this week when I heard that report from New York State, that act of the legislature in New York that now has legalized abortion up to the point of birth. And even those babies that survive abortion can be allowed to starve to death. And I have prayed that God would show himself to New York, that he would show his power and his majesty, and that he would show that he is the defender of the helpless. Well, that's something of what the psalmist is praying. The people are mocking us because we have no idols. Show them that you are our God, that you are in heaven and you are doing whatever you please. Now let me ask you, do you believe that? Do you believe that about your God? That though you can't see him, you can't show him to your neighbors or your children, yet your God reigns in heaven. And he's an awesome God. And he does whatever he pleases. See, that belongs to the very core of trusting God, that he exists though we cannot see him, and that he is continually working. And we need to ask for eyes to recognize his works. Well, let's think a bit more carefully about this. The doctrine of God's omnipotence declares that all power belongs to God. Whatever power there is in the universe, it comes from God. The power of gravity comes from God. Nuclear power comes from God. The power that we have to think and act comes from God. All power resides in our God. And whatever expressions of power there are in the universe, they all come from God. And God expects us to know that and to think in those terms. In Jeremiah chapter 32, verses 26 and 27, we read a question. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, saying, Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? And that question, curiously, has already been answered in that same chapter, in verse 17, where we read these words, Lord God, behold, you made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arm. There is nothing too hard for you. Nothing. too hard for you because you are omnipotent. Have you wondered how we could come to the place as a society that we could think it's okay to kill babies? At any point that we think it's okay to kill babies. How did we get there? I'll tell you how we got there. It's called evolution. It's called a doctrine of chance evolution. Life did not originate in God, in an eternal being. It just happened. It just evolved out of nothing. It's a coincidence. It's chance. It's good luck that there is life in the world. But that life is not anything special. It just happened. And if we find that life is cumbersome and it gets in the way, we can remove it. If a baby is a nuisance, will cause more trouble than it's worth, kill it. And people, old people like me, that's where we're headed. These old people are a drain upon our economy. I can't buy a new Lexus because I have to pay so many taxes to take health care of the elderly. Let's kill them too. They're a bother. That's how we got there. And why the doctrine of evolution? Well, that doctrine originated in the pit of hell. You say, you sound like some fighting fundamentalist. No, I'm just telling you the truth. The devil is constantly at war against the glory of God. And one of his biggest schemes is to take God out of the scene of the origin of the universe and the origin of life. Remove God, and it's all chance.